Hello, everybody. Dad here for Father Knows Something. Now, all of you must know and remember who Lauren is. Lauren is trying to change me from being FKS to sometimes FKN. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. She thinks it's funny. What do you guys think? So, morning, Justin.
Good morning.
So just to let you guys know, I should actually show pictures, but my house has been returned back to normal. I am so excited. Life is good.
Okay.
Tonight I have friends coming over for dinner and have a little party. I'm cooking fish. Dad's going to open the barbecue. You know how you always say we're going to go in the backyard?
Yes.
I am going in the backyard. I bought, I think I have a total of like 3 pounds, 4 pounds of fish, different fishes that I'm cooking for all these people. It's going to be great.
Okay.
So I'm excited. So that's it. Life is just nice and easy right now.
Life is lifing.
Well, we're certainly taking that pause of all the stress. You know, we all do get stressed in our life. Me, I get pounded with it, but it's all how we deal with it and how we can juggle it. One of the purposes of doing this is to bring help everyone to get through life at least better, because we are always given challenges. Every day we talk about that palm tree getting pulled back and pulled back and pulled, and that thing does not pop out of the ground. It just pulls back to it might even hit the ground a few times and slam itself on the ground.
So you are a palm tree.
Definitely. The metaphor here is that we are all palm trees.
Okay.
And we have to learn just to weather the hurricanes and come back to be straight up in the air and blow lightly and easily and just enjoy life. So,
very good.
So there's the metaphor of the day. So what do you got?
I wanted to share a comment. I'm sure you've seen it, but on the last video that we just posted, I just thought this was awesome. It goes, "Oh my God, the earliest I've ever been. I'm laying in the maternity ward.
I saw it. She had a baby.
My baby girl at
4:30. Yeah.
4:50 this morning. I thought I'd share that with my THT/FKS fam because I'm pretty sure this is the happiest day of my life. And now I get to listen to a FKS episode."
Well, I want you to know, I saw that last night, about an hour after, or maybe it was 2 hours after you posted. And I was just absolutely, I went to bed really smiling. And I don't know, I started to try to comment, but it came to me on my iPad, not my phone. So I didn't have access correctly to I can comment. But congratulations on your baby. And it makes us so happy. And I know that I've always been wanting to make that audio that we could go through, and I wanted to do an hour audio of just what it is to go through childbirth and to what we get with our kids as they grow from these different stages. Because of that one party I crashed when you guys were having the THT show up in Seattle and Portland, and all these few women came up to me and said, "You got me through labor, your voice," and I thought to myself, this is something we really need to do. And I really wanted Morgan to be a part of it as well, but we just haven't been able to find the time to sit here.
I think the episodes do it too, but
I just wanted that, to really do something very special. So we got to really think about doing that.
Okay. Do you know what a clutch is?
I do.
Have you ever popped a clutch?
I have.
Well, that brings us into our theme today of don't pop the clutch.
Really?
Because nothing good happens when you pop the clutch.
Well, sometimes it feels a little like this. Sometimes your tires, if you have enough torque in back, your tires are going to roar and you're going to get a lot of smoke. But popping the clutch can be fun sometimes, though.
Then you got to start over.
Yeah, you do.
So that's what we're going into today.
Okay. Room. Let's wait for the light. Right now we have a red light and we're watching the guy next to us and we're going to pop the clutch.
No, we're not going to. That's the whole point.
We're not going to pop the clutch.
No.
You're going to try to go let your foot off the clutch and go without,
Yes.
Okay.
Right into story number
1.
Hello, Jerry Morgan and Justin. I love both of your shows. They get me through my long work days. On to the problem I'm having. I, 26 female, found out my boyfriend, 29 male, is going to propose soon. He called my sister, 24 female, when her and I were together and told her to get away from me for a second. She came back all giggly and excited about something, and I just knew he told her he was going to propose. Honestly, he should have not told her in the first place because she has such a big mouth. Still love her though. But I feel like what I did was worse in a way. Fast forward a couple weeks later and a couple drinks later, I told him that I know. I do want to marry him, of course. I just wish I didn't know it was going to happen. More importantly, I wish I didn't tell him I knew. I'm sure however he plans to pop the question will be so special. I just feel like I ruined his surprise. And anytime we do anything remotely exciting, it's right in the back of my head. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for everything.
Well, I know if anyone can answer this one, it would be you. There's no doubt about it, because it appeared that when you were ready to go do the question, you were going we all knew it was going to happen. I think even Morgan knew it was going to happen, but you still had to keep it.
She didn't know exactly, though.
She didn't know when it was going to happen.
Right.
And you were concerned that, she was going to be upset if you didn't do it in France. And I said, no need to worry. And I already knew. She says, it's not going to happen in France. He's got something else up his sleeve. So it's interesting when they know, but it doesn't change the fact when you finally got there. And this is after calming you down and taking a 2-hour drive.
I was fine. You're taking it way too far.
No. I was there.
Fine.
I was there. And when you finally really did get yourself all prepared, and you had your moment set up, because only you knew what you're really going to do and how you were going to do it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. She still came out and she was blown away.
Yeah. I honestly think it's better when someone knows it's coming. Obviously, have the conversation ahead of time that, hey, what's our future look like? You do that whole thing to make sure we're on the same page so when I propose, it's not going to be out of nowhere. And then, we've seen those videos of people running away and it's just bad. But in this case, I'm sure you guys have talked about it. And honestly, now that you don't know exactly when, but it's nice to be prepared a little bit in the sense that you can kind of think ahead and be like, ooh, I should wear something nice. But also at the same time, you don't want to go through every day like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen today? Because then you're almost going to build up a sort of disappointment, and it'll take away from good things that you guys have, even though there wasn't a proposal on that day. Maybe it was a really good night out with a really nice dinner. You don't want to then go home and be like, oh, well, it didn't happen. And then it kind of takes away from everything else. So I do think it's good to know that it's going to happen, but you still don't know the exact plan. So parts of it, like you said, are still going to be a surprise and still going to be that amazing moment, but just try not to, over anticipate.
It's interesting. I got engaged once in my life. I asked a woman to marry me. And I think that I'm trying to remember if she knew or didn't know, because I remember I had to go talk to her dad. She said, go talk to my dad. Now, I don't know if this is before or after I actually asked her. But I do remember it was at a restaurant and I did plan it out. And, I will say this to everybody. When you do it, obviously you want to make sure that whatever, we always like to know that what the answer is going to be before, because we don't want to be left hanging, crashing and burning. And I think that's our fear as a guy. We're going to ask her and we're going to get crashed and burned.
Yeah.
And I watch all these shows, these reality shows, and sometimes they still go ahead with it and then they get to the altar and then they crash and burn. It's like, what the hell? But I think that's our biggest fear, is the crash and burn, that we want to know the answer before, because nobody wants anybody to be uncomfortable with the moment.
Right.
But sometimes this is these are just life experiences that you just have to sometimes roll with.
Yeah.
It's part of living.
Well, it's all positive.
But I can see where you're saying, don't pop the clutch. Let it come out easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what?
Well, in the ideal outcome, have the proposal still be a surprise in some way.
Mhm.
And I think naturally it will be.
Oh,
I think
always.
as much as you prepare on either side, whether you're asking the question or receiving it,
Mhm.
it's still bigger than you think. I mean, it's such a big emotional, there's no way it can't be a surprise in some sense.
Well, it's a life-changing event. I mean, this is the decision how I'm going to walk through my life. And everyone says, well, even though this is really the decision how we're going to walk through our life, it can always end and it can always this or it could always that. It's still a life moment that when all is in place and it really is the right one, and that is the person that you want, you can't help but be totally excited that you're gonna take this person's hand and you're saying, yes, let's do this together, and that you love each other and you can't think of anybody else you want to do it with.
Yeah.
And even though it's coming, when it happens and that question is popular, and if the ring is there or not there at that moment, it doesn't matter, because it's really what's in here and what's in your heart that gets filled. So I can definitely say that this is truly a great thing, and it doesn't matter one way or the other, as long as it happens. And
yeah, cool. Well, nice, happy.
That is a happy
number
moment.
one.
Yeah, it is. It's a great number one. I just remember that, how the moment was with you and Morgan. And it was really a special moment, especially for all of us. We were hiding up on a rooftop watching from a balcony, and we were just absolutely tickled pink. And the weather was miserable. It was windy and kind of rainy, and it didn't matter.
No, it was a good time.
It was a good time. That's right.
All right.
Let's go to number 2.
Number 2. Hello, Jerry, Morgan, Justin, and whoever else may be co-hosting. Well, we don't know. There could be someone right here.
We all have our angels with us.
There could be someone standing there.
How many angels do I have?
Well, they might be good or bad angels. They could be ghosts hanging out.
No, I got good angels.
Well, I might have one sitting right next to me then.
That could be one of your angels, because mine are 4 of them. They're always right over there hanging out, watching on.
All right. I'm a longtime listener of THT and came to FCAS when it first started. I really enjoy the show and think you give amazing advice. I'm seeking your advice specifically because you have some experience in the field I'm interested in. I, 24 male, am wanting to become a pilot. I took a discovery flight in 2023. I had planned to go to school in 2024, but life got in the way. I want to be in school before the end of 2025. The reason I'm writing in is I'm not sure which path I should take. Should I go to my local airport and take the school they have there and just try to get to the airlines as soon as I can? Or should I go to a university, get a bachelor's degree in piloting? Also, I gotta admit that it does scare me sometimes. Sometimes I tell myself just to go for it, but then doubt creeps into my mind. I say to myself, what if I fail? Also scared about taking out student loans, as it's a lot of money and I'm scared about failing and owning all of that money. Also, just with the way things are going with the plane crashes and with the FAA, I'm just worried that flight schools in the States might not be as safe as it once was. I've also thought about maybe flight school overseas. What would your opinion be on international flight schools? Ideal outcome is to be able to get into a flight school as soon as I can and be able to get into the airlines before the pilot shortage is over.
Well, I don't know if the pilot shortage is going to be over so quickly. That's number 1. Number 2, I have friends that have definitely gone to their sons have gone to North Dakota to the flight school there, and they've all come out and they've all been great pilots. And I'm not going to bash that concept at all if you can pull it off and do it. But don't be discouraged if that isn't the way you become a pilot. You can certainly go to your local airport where you did the discovery flight. You can do 2 things. There's actually many ways to get through ground school. I would first, obviously, you need to go get ground school.
Yep.
And I'm not a guy that was able to sit online to listen to the King courses and not pass out. I mean, I used to, if I couldn't fall asleep at night, I'd put on a video and I'd be out in 5 minutes. And many people I know said that everyone slept with King's wife because they've all passed out to her or him on the video. It's a common joke. I'm not trying to bash anybody. But the answer is you can simply find someone that is a seasoned pilot, that is an instructor, has a double I.
Yep.
And they can give you ground school privately. And you can probably make a deal with them to go to do it. And they'll send you to go study, and they'll bring you back, and they'll start drilling you.
Right.
And that is one way that's great. Taking a class. I started by just going to the airport. I did the discovery flight. This is back in 1986. And I went to class. And then from class, I started getting into the airplane. And I bought a block of time. And then finally, what I really did is I immediately bought a Cessna. I mean, not that I had money. I didn't, but they were so cheap comparatively at that time.
Yep.
I mean, money has doubled, tripled, quadrupled of a dollar today and a dollar back in 1986.
Yeah.
When my airplane was an 81, I was an 86, so it was 5 years old or thereabouts. I think I paid $9,550 for my airplane, my Cessna.
Yeah.
And I flew it for 500 hours. It was slow.
But that's what you need.
That's what
you don't need anything more.
You need to build hours. And the best way to build hours is get in a plane that you can afford to put gas in and fly back and forth and just do whatever you're going to do, but be in the air consistently and get comfortable. And don't fall into the 150-hour thing once you get your ticket at 60 or 70 or 80 hours. Don't start doing the stupid stuff where I can get away on a special VFR getting out, or I can do this. Really mind what you've learned, and not try to think that you know more than what nature will offer you, because you will get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, and then far as the FAA's issues, look, we have ADSB today. We have so many new things that keep us to really monitor what's around us. And you're a VFR pilot. If you're in good conditions, you're going to pay attention to your altitudes. You're going to be able to watch what's out in front of you. Your eyes are sharp. You're young.
Yep.
You're going to be fine.
Yep.
And I would just, any way I can get in the air, even if it's going to an FBO and working there, and aviation's wonderful. I'm fully supporting whatever you do. It just, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and I have a little perspective because my music partner, Austin, went through this during COVID. He's just like, I've always wanted to become a pilot, and just went to the airport, met the right people, went to a little flight school, but not a university.
No.
He just showed up at the airport, started flying with these guys. He'd be great to include in this, but from what I can remember, he says the best possible thing is to get your own little Cessna, just like you did, a little 152, because it's almost like you're parking money just for a little bit. Because
that's it.
What happens is you buy the plane, you're not then renting the most money he ever spent on the whole process was actually renting a plane. And the fuel and that, but really it was the renting of the plane to just build hours became the most expensive part of it. So if, student loans, and I think you should allocate a certain amount of money to get a little good condition, little Cessna 152, because the second you build your hours and you have your license, have your whatever you end up doing. I hope you do instrument, because you'll find a CFI, then you can work with a double I to get your instrument, but eventually you will grow out of that plane. It's definitely a trainer plane. And as soon as you start wanting to go anywhere else for pleasure, you're going to want something faster, but the plane will sell basically for what you bought it for.
Well, ask me my experience. Ready for it?
Did it increase in value?
I paid $95.50 for my airplane.
Yeah.
I flew it for 500 hours. Very, very minimal cost and maintenances. And I always kept that plane perfect. And it was my plane. And I always knew the condition of my plane. When you start getting into these schools, let me tell you, you got to really be aware of the aircraft.
You don't know who landed it really hard right before you got in it.
You just don't know. I mean,
people don't tell. Like, it's like a rental car.
I mean, the first thing they really need to share with you is how to read an aircraft logbook, and so you know of all the compliances are done. Get your own plane.
Yes,
I really
yes.
But here's the good news: I sold that plane for $18,550.
Right. Well, you mean like 18,000?
18,050. Okay. They just go up. Long as they're maintained and long as it's a good airframe, you never have to worry. Your money is just parked. That was exactly the right language you use.
Yeah.
It's parking it, and it's your money. It's there. It's secured.
Yeah. So that's one of the biggest pieces. And then I think just making a bunch of friends at the airport.
Yeah.
Because that's how Austin has met really great mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he's met a bunch of friends that he goes flying with. Mm-hmm. And he'll actually join them for, little cross-country training flights or any of that. And as much as you can fly, the better. The more you can do it day after day or every other day, the better it'll be. And
your airport buddies will always say, let's go fly.
Yeah.
And even if you're flying right seat and you're working the radio, which is your favorite thing, you're a radio guy.
Yes.
You love talking to center. You love talking to ground. You love talking to the tower. Look at the smile on this guy's face. He's all into it. So the more experience you get with that, and certainly the most important thing that you really need to know is weather. Just watch videos on weather.
Yeah.
That is really an important thing. So I hope this helps you.
Also, with the FAA stuff, with all the stuff that's happened and anything in the news, it's still by far multiples more safe than getting in your car every day.
That's very true.
You get in your car, I mean, you're way more likely to end up in something in your car than you are in a plane, by far.
It's by far safer than walking across the street at a crosswalk.
Yeah.
It really is. Mm-hmm. So, you're going to have a good time, and I fully support your thoughts, and I hope that this helped you a lot. And you'll be able, if there's not a lot of stuff in the comments, you can always instant message me, and I'll answer you. I promise you.
Well, and if you're scared about failure, I mean, the only reason you'd fail is if you didn't prepare, you didn't practice enough, and you didn't, hit your check rides and crush those out. Mm-hmm. But really,
stay within the constraints of flying. You'll be fine. You will not fail.
Yeah, and then as far as going from there to airlines, it's hours. But I don't know how you end up making that connection. I don't know if you apply, but the beauty of it is once you get into flying and you're at the airport all the time and you're around these guys, it's all of this information becomes readily available to you. Mm-hmm. Everyone will know what to do in the best process and how to work through it. But I think you should go for it. Austin said it's the best thing he's ever done.
Yeah, really?
He said it's the most freeing. Just if he could choose to do anything at any given moment, it would be to be up flying.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to number 3.
Number 3.
Yes, sir. Number 3.
Number 3. Hey, all. I listen to you all the time and never thought I'd write in, but I'm finding that I might need just a bit of outside perspective on this. So, for a bit of context, my husband has an annual trip to see long-distance friends each year in October. I absolutely never have any issues with this and think it's great he keeps up with these friendships. This year, though, I'm currently pregnant with our first child, due around May/June. He is starting to talk about planning for his annual trip in October now and asking me if I'm okay if he still goes. Honestly, my initial reaction is disappointment that he wants to go this year when, by that point, our baby will only be a few months old. I'm struggling with this a bit because I don't want him to hold any resentment if I said I'd rather he not go. At the same time, I won't necessarily be dependent on his help as I have lots of family in the area who would be more than happy to come over while he is gone. I should add the trip is usually only a week long. I just want to know if I'm making a bigger deal of this than it is, or if it's odd that he still wants to take this trip when our baby will be so little still. Ideal outcome, not really, just want some more input into the situation.
I've been here. I was a dad of two newborns, more Morgan than Taylor at that moment. But I will definitely tell you that it's okay. Just let him he's not going to miss really anything in that week. I mean, there's times I would have to go to work for a week. There are dads and moms that have children after 3 or 6 months. They go back to work. And if they have to go out of town, as long as you got your village behind you, your family, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I know that this is new and you're scared for all the right reasons.
Yep.
Not knowing what's going to go on. And you certainly want them to be there because of just the unknowns. But just relax. It'll be fine. Life is going to continue. Just everyone, as the village comes together, just enjoy the village and give them the chance to participate in all this because it means a lot to them.
That's true.
That you've counted on and you've invited them to be a part of this. So it's okay.
Yeah. And I think it would be different if it was like a couple weeks or if it was really soon after. No, not the trip length, right after, a couple weeks after the birth.
Yeah.
That's a little different. A few months, it's a decent chunk of time.
I'm just glad that he's there to hold your hand as you're going through labor and to be a part of the birth.
I know we've had a lot of those.
That is really, I mean, the one thing that I got to do is be there for Taylor's birth. And I was there. Taylor was with the doctor, took Taylor. He immediately handed him to me. And I got to tell you, I was so emotional at life itself. That moment changed me. I wasn't in the room for Morgan, but I was there with Taylor. And let me tell you, it was a magical thing. So I'm glad that, some of these guys start traveling during the time of when the baby's going to come and they miss it.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
They are the ones that miss out.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, it is the most amazing. Watching life take its first breath just blows me away. It's just so magical.
But I think here, a few months in, it's probably time for a little break. And who knows, by then, you may want to take your own little girls' weekend, girls' trip. Take a week. I think it's healthy to be able to have one partner step away, especially because this is such a, recurring trip. And it's a good way for him to catch up with friends. It might be honestly really good timing for that. And then I think it would be great for you to do the same. And I like you said, I think family coming in and having a part it feels really great for them. And, it is also, like you say here, it's a week. Plan with the trip as a go. And then if you need to cancel, you can always cancel, if something comes up. Yeah. So kind of a little early to make a decision on that one, but I think it'll be totally fine.
The fact that he is going to go away for that, that week and it's far enough down the road, you're going to be fine. This is all out of your own fear of not really what's going to be coming your way. But again, with the village, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. And such an exciting time coming up.
It is.
Real soon. 2 months.
I hope I hope that we, I hope that if I had the video up, only if she would want it.
What video?
The audio. The audio of
the comment we read. Yes.
It was all about going through labor. It's the labor. I will call it the labor audio
because we had comments about it too. Or people talk to you about it at the show?
They did at the show, and they all, every time I have a show and I meet somebody and they say, "You really helped me go through labor." My husband's conversation didn't work, but he'd quickly grab the
that's funny.
The phone. He was playing me the YouTube, and that got me through it.
As soon as that song starts to play, I'm good.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Okay, let's roll on.
On to
number 4.
4. You sure?
I think so.
Yeah, you got it right.
That's the test where my brain is at. Number 4.
Hey, FKS and THT friends. I'm writing in for advice with how to handle my niece and nephew now that I'm dating. I, 24 female, live with my sister, 28 female, and have for the last 6 years. We got a place together a year after she had her first child. My niece, 7 female. She later had my nephew, 4 male. My sister is a single mom. We've built a home for ourselves and her children, which has resulted in me stepping in more of kind of a parent role than an aunt role. This has worked for us, and I've loved every second of being involved in the kid's life. Now, to the issue. My niece and I have always had a special bond, doing girly things together, cuddling her to sleep at night, and just being her comfort person. I started dating a guy 4 months ago and can confidently say, this is my person. He has not met the kids because I am not ready, so this leaves him not able to come to my house at all. Because of this, I stay over at his place a couple nights a week. This also helps since he lives up the road from my job, and my job's an hour away. However, I have noticed my niece's behavior toward me has been angry. She makes comments about me not coming home, and then will start giving me attitude. This makes my aunt heart so sad because I never want her to feel any type of way, but I also want to live my life. I've tried to talk with her and explain that because I'm not home doesn't mean I don't love her. I have made sure when I am home, I'm not constantly on my phone and make sure she gets undivided attention. Fortunately, this hasn't affected my nephew nearly as much. How do I make sure she feels loved, but also balance a new relationship and enjoying that? Ideal outcome, just looking for advice on maybe how to explain it to her in a way that's age appropriate. Also looking for insight on if there are better ways to handle this. Thanks in advance.
As I was listening, everything was flashing in my mind. And here's what comes up. You are a parent in that kid's eye. You're the other half of a married couple. Because the kid doesn't understand marriage or not marriage. They understand who their adults are and who is in their life and where they found their security. This child found immense security within you. And you developed a wonderful relationship. But what I really think that you need to do for the right advice is you need to talk to a psychologist, a counselor, and have them help you, because this is nowhere where a kid almost feels like there's a divorce in a way. They are feared that their life is going to become unstable because you are part of the stability in this kid's life. And now it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're worried about their stability and about your love for them. And there's all this other stuff. So all this is really important to appropriately deal with. And you're very astute to see it and to recognize this, but it has to be done right now. I'm not telling you to get rid of your boyfriend at all. And I hope that he does come in your life, and I hope it's stable, because this is life. This is where the uncertainties of all this stuff starts forming everyone's opinion on trust and security. I have been in relationships where the early childhood of the person I was with was dramatically affected by the people that were in their life.
For sure.
And it's affected their ability of trust and intimacy. And that's where all this comes from. So you are wise to recognize this, but you need to work with a counselor or somebody that can really give you sound ways of getting through this. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But in my life experiences that tell me that you have flagged the right thing. And the fact that you did not bring people in and out of your life for instability was wise.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was wise.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm right. I mean, maybe it's better the other way. Make them feel that, hey, this is life, how it rolls. And so you need to really get some counseling on this one from someone that is really is a professional, and hope that they are the right one. So you got to listen to the person and then make your own determination. Are they the right advice? Maybe you should seek it from a couple different directions.
Well, and hopefully they, ideally they'd specialize in children's psychology, because that's really what you're after. It's not necessarily you, it's more
how that kid's interpreting it.
Yes. And because also, like you say in here, you do you have to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is great timing because this has to be established,
Mm-hmm.
obviously in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, it's got to be understood that you aren't the second parent,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
In that kid's mind, she is
right, but
the secondary parent.
yeah, but it's eventually you, and you can be as close as you want, but you are the aunt,
Mm-hmm.
and someone may come into your sister's life
Mm-hmm.
and start to fulfill that other role. It doesn't take away from your role, but I think we are starting to see the issue as to how she, how these kids, well, just the one child, the niece, is reacting to you starting to kind of have that outside life.
And Uncle Bob may be the greatest addition to her life. It's a lot's going to depend about Uncle Bob. The guy that's going to bob in.
Yeah, but it's tricky too because, right now you say this is your person, but you never know where life can take you, and relationships come and go.
How long have they been seeing each other?
4 months.
It's young.
It is. So you just never know. It's a very delicate situation. So I do think you get some professional
absolutely
advice, but I think I like where your mind is at because it does need to start happening now.
Mm-hmm. You're astute to see the issue and to immediately address it. That's being a parent, to see it and immediately address it and find the positive way through it.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a really good one. Let's go to number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah, number 5.
Okay, number 5. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Jerry and friends.
Yes.
I am friend.
You are friend. You're beyond friend.
You are Jerry. I am friend.
You are beyond friend.
I'm having issues with school and having the motivation to keep going and not just give up. All throughout my childhood, I got straight A's and did great in my classes until high school. Once I got to high school, I found myself burnt out and kind of gave up. If I would fail an assignment, it was all or nothing, and I just gave up. But now that I'm about to finish my first degree, it matters that I pass a lot more since I'm going to graduate school. So I need to get good grades and finish my classes. Right now, I'm finding that every time I take a test or exam, I just barely pass, usually around 60%. It's been really hard to not give up. My classes this semester are really intense, and I find myself doing homework every single moment that I'm awake. I've never worked this hard for good grades, but I'm still failing. How do I not give up? And how do I stop getting in my head when I take exams? I always second guess myself. I know my stuff right up until that exam starts, then it's gone. Thank you for any advice.
This person's brain's locking down as soon as they hit the exam. They know the stuff, but they're going into panic mode.
Yes.
Something's triggering in there to block it. Mind block. When I was listening to the first part, I was thinking study groups.
Yep.
But I don't know if the study group is going to help you, even though you're prepared for it. You said, I know the stuff. I lock up in testing. So that is something that, you again, might take some counseling, might take someone to understand what's going on in your mind that's locking you up.
I would just be curious what you've tried. Study groups, like very specialized tutors. If I was having this issue, my first gut reaction would be to go to my professor and say, hey, here's the situation, kind of like what you laid out here, and say, have you ever had anyone go through this? What strategies did they use? Could I possibly get some practice tests or some old ones that they don't use anymore to say, hey, could I possibly meet with you outside of class and I can, get a test from you, go take it, and then I'll come back and we can go through it together and review it. And I'm just trying to really get better at this. If you show that commitment and that effort to a professor of any class,
they're gonna be on your team.
Of course, because what they want to do is see people that are interested in what they're teaching, see people that are interested in learning and getting better. That's the core of the whole of school. that's how I would approach it, because I feel like that just connects you so much more to the material and to the person that's giving the test.
I think and that's great advice, because I think it breaks down the fear of the test when when the professor is actually working with you, trying to solve whatever the fear is that's locking you down.
Yeah.
And you're working together. Kids, obviously, like I said, you point blank state, I know the stuff. I mean, this is a lockdown. This is a brain freeze.
Yeah.
And if they can, and if it's because of fear or something else, another programming issue that happened back, whatever, when you were, going from elementary school or junior high to high school, maybe that they can help you get through this block and all of a sudden unlock you. When you know your stuff, it becomes simple. And when you're not nervous, but
Yes.
this testing thing is what's got you messed up. So make him part of your team to come to the solution. He'll know you know the stuff, and maybe he'll help you figure a way through, navigate through this, this thing in your life, testing.
Yeah. I mean, I had a couple classes here, a class here and there through college mainly, that would really be tricky for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would befriend the professor and meet outside. Sometimes they have certain meeting hours,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes we'd meet over lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended up really helping me, because for certain papers and things, I would go in and we would do an extra review, go through my paper, and he'd give me really great advice. So that really helps. And then also there is something to the confidence, because there were also some classes I had, like microeconomics and things like that. I would show up to class, I'd sit and play games on my computer the whole time. I'd sit in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I'd show up on test day. I'd finish it in 10 minutes, walk out before anyone else, ace it every time. There were just classes where—
How did you do that?
I don't know. There were just certain classes and topics and concepts that would just be so second nature to me that I could walk in and just done, and I'd perfect score. But
you're the one.
who knows how much of confidence that was?
You are the one that the people that are watching this that did not do good in school don't like. Let me continue on. Okay. I can't give her a lot of advice because I did not succeed well in school. That's not the way that I learn. I learn differently. And testing like her scared the shit out of me, where I just blocked it out because, number one, I didn't even know the material. Where this person has got this is, and certainly got me, is they know the stuff. It's just at the testing part.
Yeah.
I never even knew the stuff. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
and I have nightmares today, sometimes even at my age, back at school, going to a class and just not being prepared.
I have those all the time.
But you, Morgan is my biggest piss off. Guys, this girl that you love, let me tell you, her senior year of school, I used to call the school when she was going to show up at the end of the day, because she called me at LA. She was living in Minnesota, and she said, "Dad, can you call me in sick?"
Yeah,
But
then she finished college in 3 years.
I'm telling you, and then she has a doctorate. I mean, how do these people do it?
Yeah.
We hate people like this.
Well, but what I'm saying is I've been there. I've definitely walked into a calculus test feeling 100% like, oh, I got this. Just like the microeconomic stuff. And just, I struggled.
You struggled the test?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Well, that's not what I read. That's not what I heard about 4 minutes ago.
Well, but essentially in that comparison, I've had this experience, maybe not as much as you, but I've had that with certain classes. And what I did is I worked with the professor and worked on study habits. I mean, down here, you do say I listen to Father Knows when I do homework.
You're not focusing.
Maybe Father Knows is a little distracting to you. I don't know, but
she's multitasking.
Yeah, but I've been there. That's what I've done, and it's become more like the other classes were for me. So you can get there 100%.
And by the way, if I slipped and said, she or he, for some reason, I forgive me for that. It's you and it's everybody. We all go through this stuff.
We do.
But I will say one thing is that his education, and I'm sure your education, even though you know the stuff, it will be still, you know it. And as life goes through, that's the important thing, that you'll be able to reflect upon these lessons. And it won't be a test going through life with it. It's just you are implementing these things. And as long as they're in your brain, you'll be able to deal with what's really out there in life. And that's the important thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading the additional info. The main class I'm struggling with is chemistry. And as I'm a STEM major, I need to get good grades in my science classes. Chemistry in high school was very, very tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
The more that I became obsessed with physics, it naturally started to pull in some chemistry.
Yeah.
And I found myself, just as a passion, kind of studying this stuff outside of the material of the class. And I did hit a moment where something flipped and it all just made sense and it unlocked.
I mean, there are people out there that are brainiacs with this stuff, that they might tell you the trick they used on how they were able to make it apply.
Yeah.
And my ex-brother-in-law had a PhD in chemistry, and he was brilliant. I don't know if he was able to teach people to get them through that those tricks.
Yeah.
But I know that they're out there. There are people out there that can teach you the tricks on how they got through it. And they'll say, I'm not that smart, but I had the trick.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, how I'd say I'd had such an easy time with economics in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hate you for that.
In high school,
yeah,
I couldn't figure it out.
Oh, really?
I think
I like you again.
That might have been the only test that I think I maybe failed.
Ooh.
In high school, but in college, so you can get there 100%. I don't know what the trick is. That's what I did. And sometimes things just, all of a sudden, the stars align and it makes sense.
Let me just, and again, I'm going to share it, and I'm going to pound on this one to make sure everyone knows it. When it's in your head and you've learned it and you know it, even though you may not test well with it, the most important thing is that you can implement it later in your life, because it's all there for us to implement in our life. And things later really do, just like you said, it all of a sudden came clear, and I was able to apply all the wires together. And, it doesn't matter what the course is. It's really implementing in life to make sure that it works for you. And some of the people that I know in my life are brilliant, that they've had this education, they've had even the education of life, and they've really figured out how to apply it all together. And that to me is just magic.
Yeah.
So I do applaud you for all that, because it's because you do apply everything.
It's a roller coaster.
You've applied it all. Morgan applies it every day. I mean,
you hated me. Now you're applauding me.
Well,
you're calling me names.
It's jealousy. Is all it is. It's just my own insecurity and jealousy that you got to do it, and I'm envious of that, because when people have that kind of mind, it's really amazing to be in their presence. And I have been in the presence of great minds, and I've learned how to appreciate them, and I do appreciate your mind.
Well, I'm no Einstein, but that's very nice.
You're right. You're no Einstein, but I still appreciate who you are.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We're
going
to go to number 6.
Yes.
This is it, kids. This is the last hurrah for the night.
Hi, all.
Hi, y'all.
All. I've been watching THT and FKS for a while now and never thought to write in, but here I am.
I'm so glad.
I would love some insight from all of you on my problem. So I broke up with my 30 female boyfriend, 33 male, of 11 years in August.
Okay.
I completely blindsided him, and I hate to admit it, but I didn't handle it well. I was cold towards him and didn't give him the closure he needed. Backstory, we were together since I was 19 and he was 22, lived together for about 4 years, and we have a 3-year-old golden retriever together who we currently share.
Mm-hmm.
The last few years of our relationship really went downhill. We lost our physical and emotional connection, and it felt like we were mostly just roommates. We were both dealing with a lot mentally and emotionally between work, school, and personal lives. We fell into a place where neither of us were happy physically or mentally, and I think that contributed to our downfall. Unfortunately, we seriously lacked communication and didn't talk about our issues, so we built up resentment toward each other.
Mm-hmm.
We had a dead bedroom and were rarely intimate, not even cuddling. I got to a point where I could not imagine living the rest of my life so unhappy in this relationship. One night, I decided I was going to leave. So I told him I was done and I left the next morning. He begged for me back, but I didn't entertain it. Fast forward 6 months, and I am deeply regretting my decision to leave him. We've both done some self-healing work and we're both in therapy. I can truly say that I see a major difference in both of us. We began talking again in December, where we had a few long, deep conversations about what went wrong between us. We laid everything out and were honest to each other about our issues. It was extremely difficult to be so vulnerable and especially to hear how much I hurt him. But these conversations were the most meaningful and open conversations we've had together in years. I told him I wanted to get back together, but he is now unsure. He is unsure if he can get past the pain and heartache I caused him and doesn't know if we can rebuild our relationship to a place where we don't hold on to past issues. I guess my question is, how do I accept this reality? Do I be patient with him to decide what he wants? How long do I hold on? I can't bear the thought of moving on, but I feel stuck. We've talked about going to couples therapy and said that would be a non-negotiable if we decide to rebuild. My problem is that I feel he has 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it's giving me mixed signals. We spent a lot of time together. He joined my family and I for Christmas. We spent New Year's Eve together. I went on a 2-week trip in January, and as soon as I got back, he asked me out to dinner. We've gone on several dates since then, but he feels hot and cold. Any insight would be so helpful. Love you guys, and thank you.
Great one. And you in most ways you're doing exactly the right thing. You're just, when I say the right thing, is you're spending time. The most important thing that you can do is obviously 100% honesty. I always said this: communication and respect is the first thing that goes out the window. Your relationship is done. But the fact that you've actually figured out that you miss each other, that there's something that you want with one another, is a hope. Now,
Mhm.
I was in a relationship. I woke up one morning but it wasn't just I woke up one morning. I mean, there were things that were going on and I would bring it up and they weren't being heeded. They weren't being listened to. And that was just the nature of that person and their ability of communicating with me. And it was gone. And in all honesty, from the moment that that was over, I had not experienced what you're experiencing is the missing.
Right.
Now, there's relationships that I had before that I ended it abruptly because of a behavior. Did I miss them? Horribly. Would there have been hope in that relationship? Possibility. But the answer is that both people had to be missing each other.
Yes.
And want to do this. Approach this relationship with your friendship. And displaying the fact that when you are together, that you are 100% open and honest, no matter how minor or minuscule a thought might be. Share it. Anything that goes on in your heart, your feelings, your depth, surface or deep, share them. Any questions, anything that's going on, share them. Because what happens is all this stuff goes back into building that trust. That's the problem here. He can't trust what's going to happen tomorrow. You rocked it. You definitely into the relationship. You were certain it was done.
Yeah.
But what was certain is it wasn't that it was done. It was certain that you needed to get away. And this is the way that you had to process what was going to happen next. And again, it's that palm tree. You pulled it back. You pulled it back. You pulled it back so far, he thought literally popped the roots out. It didn't pop the roots. The roots are still there. They're strong roots. You have 11 years of these roots.
That's true.
In that relationship. So I would just continue to build the trust and the friendship. Don't worry about saying that we're back together. Wrong words.
Yeah.
The words are, we are here forever. I'm spending time with somebody right now. I have no idea where it's going to go. They could be my person. They may not be my person. But what I do is say, the one thing that we're going to count on is trust, that we are going to be, no matter if you end up with somebody else or I end up with somebody else, I care.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what we're going to, it's not that we may be together or not together, but the most important thing is that we are going to be friendships and we have trust in one another. Because let me tell you, I have trust in this person, and this person certainly has trust in me. Now we'll see what happens later as it goes forward.
Right.
Because it's all about trust.
It is. And I think this one, yeah, you're doing the right thing. It's just, and maybe naturally it will get to a point where you see him come around, for lack of a better term, but to truly be back in that team. They began talking in December. So, give or take 3-ish months.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting to a decent amount of time, but there's no real time set on how long it'll take someone to come back from, what he's feeling.
There's no rule book.
But also you can't hang around forever waiting for him to turn the page. So I think right now you're in a good spot, but I do think, you get to 6 months, you get to 9 months. If he's still hot and cold and there's no progress being made, at some point you might have to make a hard decision, because you can't wait around for someone forever.
Let's just see how, at this point in time, I would say just try continuing with the
100%.
trust. Try and let's see what happens organically, and you guys will figure it out.
Because I do hope you get to your ideal outcome. We get back together and rebuild our relationship to a place of love and happiness, but it takes two.
It does.
So I would very much continue on your path and see what he does.
He's showing up. He's certainly at the door. Your guys are there. He's showing up.
But he's hot and cold. So what's the cold look like? Does he shut you out? Does he not talk to you for a couple of days?
That's all about the honesty and the conversation that both of you have to articulate clearly where you're at, and then you'll figure it out. If everyone is being on the table and honest what we're going through, then you can make the appropriate decisions how to navigate through this thing. And if you want to go through some additional counseling if you feel that's necessary, then you guys will implement that, but you'll say together, I think we need to do this. It won't be one of you. It's both of you are going to say this. But if you are opening the communication and you're talking about it all, let's see what happens. Look, I had a person in the relationship that I ended say, after we were done, let's go to counseling. And I was already done. I had no interest. Like I said, if you're not missing the person at the end of the day, then it's a wrap. But if you are missing them and there's something there, it's a conversation. And that's what you're having right now. You are entertaining being friends. I went to the person that I broke up and I said, we can try being friends. Well, no, I'm not going to be friends. Either you're going to get back with me or you're not. And I said, that's not the answer. It doesn't how it works. Obviously we had some breakdown, and I say go back to very basics. Hang out. Let's see if we even like each other still. See if we can rebuild or see where all this is.
Yeah.
And I had an unwilling participant even to be friends. And that's when I said, it isn't going to happen. Forget the past. We need to move forward and see if we can rebuild just by going forward, let alone not even figuring out the past. Because we talked about the past, on 3 or 4 occasions I brought it up and it made no change. So, oh well.
So you got to monitor and see where you end up.
Open honesty is truly the best policy. Even if it involves, I may not be turned on by you. I may not, I don't have this feeling. At least everyone's able to deal appropriately with what it is, so they can either deal with it, fix it, find out what it really is, and get to the depth of what a relationship it should look like for each other.
Yeah.
So there you are. So that's number 6. It's done. we're going to invite you to the backyard. We're going to have some Patreons. And Justin and Morgan are off to New York this evening.
Yes.
Apparently, they're going to have in Times Square, Morgan and Two Hot Takes is going to be featured in Times Square on the big board. What an amazing thing for everybody. So
going to see it.
Go check it out. So I hope you were with us at our group chi on Sunday. I know that I have. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm bringing a friend on that is an amazing person, fun to listen to. And we're going to have a good time. I'm not going to even tell you what the topic is, but
well, they'll already know because we're operating,
but
we're recording.
Well, I want to make sure it happened, so I don't want to even say that it happened because it may not have happened.
That's true.
But we are going to be bringing on my show people that are of interest of different things that are always going to bring a little fun. Not that we don't want to hear everyone's story in person, but we also want to be a little entertaining for you. And that's the way it's going to be.
Okay.
So we'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.